there was this one event for entrepreneurs and for founders that was lacking in this Global Entrepreneurship Week. And that's where we stepped in and said, let's create something that can stand strong in this very special week, that we can mark the occasion, that we can bring founders together to network, to learn from each other, to share, and to really get down to the deep stuff of what it actually means to be an entrepreneur, to be a founder in this economy, in South Africa, on the continent, and as part of this massive global community that is Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Lou, thank you so much for inviting me here, and thanks for giving the opportunity to speak a bit about our take on global markets and entrepreneurship in emerging markets in general. So I want to speak a bit about trends that we see from working with all these entrepreneurs from Africa, from Southeast Asia, from Latin America. And then I want to also speak a bit on a bright side of things, the bright future for entrepreneurship in emerging markets.
As business owners, we all know that our businesses are on different cycles of our businesses, and it might be that we grow organically, and a paying client might be the best investor for our businesses. Sometimes in the cycle of our businesses, we require growth capital to really just take us to that next level, to really expand. And that's where I'm going to focus a little bit today on 5 tips that I'm going to share with you for being funding ready when you want to acquire such growth capital.
But I think the major impact that we've had of recent times is that automation has become such a big part of Google and Facebook and LinkedIn and all of those sort of platforms as well, where we kind of taken automation, if I can almost say, just that level up into machine learning. So where automation is very much about utilizing repetitive tasks and being able to get those repetitive tasks happening for you, machine learning is then taking that and using prediction to then essentially be able to kind of think to the future on what it's going to do next.
I think in terms of automation starts for me just with a journey of innovation, and from there digitizing processes, because we learned by digitizing things, that's the first step in automation.
How do you protect a culture when it's built on personal relationships in the same space, and now you take away the same space? How do you do that? How do you lead by example when nobody is watching, up and down the chain of command? And how do you maintain a bond with your leadership team? I've got fantastic co-founders, I've got excellent partners. We really have a strong bond. How do you maintain that when you're not seeing each other? In other words, how do you maintain the thing that was built on the thing that you're taking away?
So that got me into this journey about what is entrepreneurial behavior, what is business? How do we begin to unpack this sort of thing? And also just the practicalities of realizing how little that we actually know. And if you aggregate myself and you think of the continent, and if you think of the rest of South Africa and so on, we have a generation of people who are probably underexposed to what is the entrepreneurial opportunities that are out there.
There were 600 listed companies on the stock market, of which 500 were small caps, and it was a vibrant place to go and raise capital. You could list just about anything, and some people did. But that market has actually changed now, and it's actually quite hard for founders to list their businesses these days because you need scale. And these big institutions are not really interested in you unless you've got a market cap of 4 or 5 billion rand.
So stress is your response to either a perceived threat or a real threat. And it doesn't really matter which one it is. If you're really facing a danger or if you're having the thoughts about something going wrong. Either way, you'll go into a fight or flight response. And you'll know that's happening when your heart beats really fast, you get warm, your breath is shallow, and basically you're gearing up for self-defense to protect yourself. And again, even though we're not often facing, very physical threats all the time, it can also happen with entrepreneurial stress, these kinds of things.
And I guess in the beginning, we had one client, 1 or 2 of the first 2 months with rents to pay and things like this. And the first sort of spike of inquiries, we thought, this is how, we've made it now. That was like, this is how it's going to be the whole time. So just, I'm not inclined to understand business, and that has been a major factor, just dealing with the reality of, well, what happens if it doesn't work out realistically? What about the rent? Managing just the uncertainty, tolerating that throughout the process.
And I had one of 2 choices, which is pretty standard. One is go work for somebody else again, which was very appealing at the time because it gave a nice, comfortable salary. and a title, which actually doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, or do my own thing. And I looked around, and to be honest, I was really leaning towards the fat salary. And I looked at what people were doing in the market, and I just decided that if I'm going to make an impact, if I'm going to try and, it sounds corny, but change the world, you can't do it by following other people's steps. You have to carve out your own journey.